Switzerland. Dr. Mahari Fisai is a passionate advocate on human rights and development issues with a focus in Eritrea and Ethiopia. He has a wonderful educational background, 1 first degree, 8 master's degree, and 3 doctorate degrees in different field of studies. Surprisingly, he has all this at the age of 42. Welcome, Dr. Mahari.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let me come to my first question. How do you see the current change in Ethiopia?
As far as I'm concerned, I think the current change that has been taken place by the new government since its inception has been extremely admired by many people around the world, including myself. So it is for the first time in history in the past 28 years that the government took such initiative for the sake of the country's survival and for the good people of Ethiopia.
And your reflection on Ethio-Eritrean relation, especially recently, Ethio-Eritrean relation is coming to something which is wonderful.
Yes, this is a very interesting question because for the past 18-19 years, the issue between the Ethiopian government and Eritrean government was absolutely fragile. And to my understanding, the initiative that was taken by the Prime Minister to restore peace and security between these two brotherly and sisterly countries has been extremely helpful because it is actually creating some sort of precedence for other African states to follow such kind of initiative. For instance, the same kind of problem takes place as well between Cameroon and Nigeria and other also African states. So the relations between Ethiopia and Eritrea at the moment is absolutely fantastic in terms of people movements and exchanging cultures, although the culture is pretty much the same. But in terms of economic development, the Ethiopians, merchants or business, the people goes to Eritrea and Eritrean goes to or comes to Ethiopia for their own interest and for their own business transactions. So this is very interesting and this is very actually helpful for both countries, for both people and at the same time for both countries in terms of this relation. So it's a very much appreciated for all this kind of things that the Prime Minister has done and continue to do.
And as a United Nations lifted sanction it posed on Eritrea just 2 decades ago. And what do you think is the role of Ethiopia in this regard?
Well, this is a very political question and it needs a political answer to my understanding, and one has to be very careful and critical. What were the conditions why the United Nations put sanctions against the sovereign state of Eritrea? One has to be very careful to answer the questions and ask the questions. Was Eritrea supported some terrorist groups? Was Eritrea part of any conspiracy against the previous government of Ethiopia? I mean, we have to be very critical to ask those questions. So I believe that those kind of problem was initiated by the previous government in order to punish the people of Eritrea and the government itself. Now, don't forget, I'm not lobbying or I'm not supporting the government of Eritrea by all means. That is not my intention here, but I'm just laying out for you, was it really a genuine kind of proposition that the government of Ethiopia has lobbied to international community to punish or to blackmail Eritrea? That is the question I would like to ask. I'm not saying that Eritrea is immune to its own problem. They might have their own problems, could be, but that's not for me to respond at this interview. However, within the current government of Ethiopia, which is the new government of Ethiopia, the government of Ethiopia has done what is right to help the country itself, the sovereign state of Eritrea and its people, and lobbied tirelessly so that sanctions can be lifted. And I'm very happy the country is now free from sanctions and they can trade internationally, especially with Ethiopia, and improve the lives of Eritreans and at the same time Ethiopia. So the credit goes to the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, I should say, and of course, the other side of the government too.
And you are also known for echoing Ethiopia and even Eritrean issues on the international stage. Why for this?
Because I'm from Ethiopia, so I'm very much interested about what I know. I'm very much interested to study what is actually I know of, because I'm from the region of that area, from the Horn of Africa, and so it was great for me to access a lot of information on the issue of Ethiopia and Eritrea. That's why I'm sort of kind of had interest through such kind of research and lobby about Ethiopia and its diplomatic issues.
And in recent past, you have presented a research paper entitled as actually on Paris Peace Forum under the title of Economic Development and Governance. And what is the theme of this research paper, and what was all about it?
Well, actually, there were three themes. Okay, first is governance, the second one is economic development, and the third one is diplomacy. So my presentation was on diplomacy. Where does Ethiopia heading with the new government's diplomacy strategy of the Horn of Africa, which is which I took the Ethiopian and Eritrean diplomacy relations, or diplomatic relation, I should say. So that was my presentation. So under the diplomacy topic or theme, then you have a governance issue whereby the government has done within this short period of time, just 7 months, I guess, to achieve such remarkable result. So that's why I took diplomacy, because governance and at the same time the economic development goes within diplomacy, because when you have a stable and solid diplomacy with a state, then you could actually improve your economic development, because diplomacy is not only political or public diplomacy as you call it, but also at the same time it's an economic development. At the same time, how are you going to improve the governance of your area and your government within the diplomacy section? So my presentation was about diplomacy, and I took the case of Ethiopia and Eritrea and as a case study, and what actually Africa could learn from Ethiopia and Eritrea diplomacy. And I'm sure there were a lot of people who were impressed the way how Ethiopia and Eritrea engaged themselves and resolved their issues, and that was exactly I highlighted during the Paris Peace Forum.
And how do you judge that Africans are solving their problems through negotiation without the interference of the white people? And what do you say on this?
I think that kind of culture should be developed, I could argue, because most of the problem we have, when we have problem in Africa, the first thing is that we invite people from the United Nations, we invite people from the African Union, we invite people from Chinese government, we invite people from American or from European states. And I think this is a time for Africa to stop thinking that somewhere in Europe or in America can solve African problem. This is African problem and needs African solutions. And that's what exactly we, the people from the Horn of Africa, did. We had the problem with Eritrea. Eritrea had a problem with Ethiopia. This is the problem between Ethiopia and Eritrea. This is the problem between Eritrea and Ethiopia, vice versa. So the problem was solved by the two countries' leadership. So, or leaders, I should say. So it is very important to learn from this dialogue that African problems should be solved by Africans rather than engaging third parties. For instance, let's take the Ethiopian Eritrean case. The United Nations was there in Ethiopia and in Eritrea, solved the problem. They have the resources, they have the political resources, but was there any political will to solve the Ethiopian and Eritrean problem in the past 18, 19 years? Absolutely no. You have an African Union office in Addis. They have human resource, they have the money. But was there any political will from the African Union, the organization itself and its leadership, to solve the problem for Ethiopia and Eritrea? There is no. So what does this tell us? It tells us that African problems can also be achieved only by African people with African solutions. And what we learn from this negotiation between Ethiopia and Eritrea would be another step for other African countries to learn from.
And Ethiopian government has started taking measures on individuals, those who suspected for human rights violation and as well as serious corruption. And what do you say about this, especially the diaspora? Diaspora community lives in different parts of the world. The Ethiopian diaspora community has been raising for such kind of action. And what do you say on this?
Okay, one thing you should understand is that as far as I'm concerned, I think the Ethiopian government has not engaged itself to fight those who actually commit crimes against the people of Ethiopia. Not yet. But what the government has done so far was to hold accountable for corruption. It's two different things. One is to hold accountable for those who embezzled the people and embezzled the country in general. But yet, there is another dimension which the government should actually work hard to bring those who commit crimes against humanity, those who commit genocide in Ethiopia, those who displaced people, those who killed people, those who imprisoned, those who torture people in the country. So the government should work on those, not only on the corruption. Now, the other thing that I would like to stress here is that it's not enough for me to hold 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 people alone. This is a network. They should hold those who collaborate to commit such kind of corruption from state level, from top to bottom. And we know them. And the government should work hand in hand with the people to bring those who committed such atrocities to justice. You cannot achieve peace and development in a country without justice. Ethiopian people need justice, and that's what the government should do.
How? Indicate some procedure.
Well, it's obvious that people, like, how did they hold this person, Kimfadanya? How did they hold him? So they should do the same thing. The government know where the criminals actually live. We know who embezzled the country. We know who commit serious atrocities in the country. So the government should go after those who ruined the people of Ethiopia, the lives of the people of Ethiopia, who stole from the government's bank or asset or whatsoever. Those who accumulate a lot of money in overseas, the government should work on those. And the diaspora communities are actually have potentials to work with the government, to help the government to recover those that has been stolen by the previous government. This is the money of the public. This is my money. This is your money. This is our parents' money, but was stolen by few individuals and their collaborators. And these people have to be tried in a proper way.
Well, Dr. Mahari, just time limits us to here, and I hope we will talk to each other face to face one day. Thank you
very much, sir, for having me.
Thank you too. Dear viewers, this is all about what we have talked with Dr. Mahari from Ireland. Thank you very much.